Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I took a little trip up to the Slevin and picked up a USA Today weekend. They only publish one paper to last the whole weekend because nothing ever happens on the weekend, apparently. So let's see how a butter cow became fine art. Interesting. Spa weekend cast. Stop apologizing. Alberto Mendoza ready to step up. Quarterback looks to step out of brother Fernando's shadow and prove himself at Georgia Tech. Don't know anything about that. Oh, look, here's the utter butter masterpiece. Hold on. We just gotta look at that. Oh my goodness. The Iowa State Fair born butter cow has found green pastures at Renwick Gallery of the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington. Look at that. Look how big it is. That lady's standing next to it. Very cool. Salted or unsalted? All right, well, let's start at the first page. I'll try not to take too much time so we'll have time to look at all the sections. So I have been kind of gleefully unaware of news lately. I've been just in my own world, so I don't know what's going on. So let me just tell you that before we start. All right. M.A., I guess Massachusetts, yeah. Murder trial hinges on insanity defense. So this, somebody just recently in the comments said you should do a video on Lindsay Clancy, and I had no idea what that was. And I kind of took a minute to look, and I was like, oof, that sounds kind of dark, so I don't know. But what I saw was people who are like holding signs and they're on her side. So obviously there's more to this story than it seems, I guess. I don't know. Prosecution must prove Clancy was legally sane. Yeah, this is a pretty dark story. I might skip that for right now anyway. Whether I look at it later, I don't know. Scams target seniors with help of AI. Uh-oh. Adult children become liaisons as emotional financial toll sets in. Wait, is that the same? Scams target seniors. Adult children become liaisons. I don't feel like these go to the same thing, Marcy. It's the kind of call that makes Clayton Leah Broughton's blood boil. Leah Broughton, senior executive spokesperson at Truecaller, a caller ID and spam blocking app, said a man called in recently asking for help. His mother, a grieving widow, had been scammed out of more than $7,000. Scammers told her they'd worked with her late husband to cover up tax evasion records, and in order to preserve what was left of her inheritance, she had to pay up. Ugh, terrible. By the time her adult son found out about the scam, it was too late. Scammers are terrible. Most caregivers put scams and data privacy at the bottom of the list of things that they're caring about. But if you neglect that, then it can cause much bigger problems down the road. That is the general manager of LifeLock. Rockets launched almost daily in U.S. Even more are ahead. When I was in Port Canaveral in, I think it was I saw a rocket launch. NASA's Artemis 2 mission to fly by the moon lifts off April 1st with the Orion crew capsule. You know what? This is the one I saw. That's so weird. April 1st, Artemis. I think this is the one I saw in Cape Canaveral. That's so funny. I'm like 90% sure. I mean, I wasn't that close or anything. Okay, back in April, people around the world paused their days to collectively watch in awe as four intrepid astronauts were launched into space toward the moon atop NASA's most powerful. It was this one because we were staying at an Airbnb and we were busy doing other things, but they were watching it all on the TV live. So yeah, it must have been this. Okay. The mission known as Artemis 2 captivated the public for 10 days as 3 Americans and 1 Canadian made a trip around the moon and back to Earth. Oh yeah. Gosh, I forget things so easily now. Jobless are afraid hiring is broken. Applicants feel distrust, frustration, and burnout. You know, one thing I didn't tell you, I went to the 7-Eleven to get this, but first I went to the grocery store that ICE has newspapers, and they quit carrying newspapers. They don't have them at all. I think we only have a short amount of time to still be able to look at a newspaper. Getting that feeling will go the way of the dodo. All right, applicants feel distrust, frustration, and burnout. After getting a layoff notice in May, software engineer Todd Hendricks, 46, started his job search. On Friday, he signed on to Zoom for the coding round of a multi-step interview. He waited for someone to appear. No one did. That's rude. That's rude. He reached out to the recruiter and heard nothing back. The next Monday, an email landed in his inbox. The company said it was no longer moving forward with his application based on his performance in the interview. He says never happened. Ugh, that's terrible. You know, one of my sons is looking at getting a new job, and this company said, we're going to have you come in for an in-person interview, and it will be a single interview. And he's like, wow, awesome. Because all these companies, they're making you go back like 5 times, and it can take all this time and everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a good job, too. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do a follow-up, but I think they said something like a single. 5 Americans killed in Kenya chopper crash. Oh, no. Telemundo executive among the 7 victims. Oh, boy. All right, this is more about the rocket ships. FAA predicts commercial rocket launches to spike in the next decade. Commercial? For instance, SpaceX, the commercial spaceflight company founded by tech mogul Elon Musk, has launched its Falcon 9 rocket hundreds of times from California and Florida, making it by far the most active rocket in the world. Wow. What was it called again? The Falcon 9. Florida, California have a record year in 2025 for rocket launches. Why are rocket launches increasing? What other aerospace companies are ramping up activity? Okay, here they are. SpaceX and Blue Origin have largely become household names. Okay. Blue Origin suffered a massive setback at the end of May when its New Glenn rocket exploded on the launch pad at Launch Complex 36 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Rocket Lab likely won't be debuting its Neutron rocket in 2026, after all, in Virginia at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility. But the California-based company is already inking deals with the Defense Department and other commercial ventures. like I might still have a little bit of stock in Rocket Lab. I'll have to go look. I think it went down to like nothing. Firefly Aerospace announced August 11th that it had reached a deal with Lockheed Martin to continue launching the Texas company's small lift Alpha rocket through 2031. The United Launch Alliance. I've never heard of that one. Have you? A joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed Martin has appeared to ground its new Vulcan rocket amid an anomaly observed during a February mission. Trump administration seeks to ease regulation. U.S. considers offshore launches to accommodate demand. Another lawmaker is facing sexual misconduct allegations. California Democrat joins growing list of claims. What is up with these men in power, man? I don't know what to say. Trump says he expects to meet this year with Kim Jong-un. President Trump said he plans to meet with why can't I say that right now? Kim Jong-un of North Korea later this year, as the president signaled plans to revive his first-term push for the North Korean leader to abandon his country's nuclear weapon program. All right. Genetic researchers are trying to identify boxcar boy. What? Why does this, like of all the articles, this one makes me go, tell me more. I think it's so fascinating, like the whole DNA. You know how they call it like the Golden State Killer because they had DNA and that they used like kind of tracing like who this is related to, this to figure out who he was. I would love to like be part of that, like figuring that out. That just seems like so interesting. Let's just say DNA may help ID teen found in 1932 in North Carolina. Wow. An unnamed boy may soon be identified if genetic genealogists can raise enough money to have his remains exhumed. Let's do it. Let's all give some money. Known only as the Boxcar Boy, the child was found dead in a Southern Railway boxcar in September of 1932 in central North Carolina. Estimated to be between 14, he's just a baby, and 16 years old, the boy was crushed by steel beams as he slept. Oh my God. News outlets shared information and a photo of the boy in an attempt to identify him, but never did. Sorry, my throat like seized up on me. The boy was buried in Charlotte Cemetery 2 weeks after he was found, still unnamed. Let's look at his grave. It says, unknown boy buried by the king's daughters? Is that what that says? September 25th, 1932. Out. Hold on a minute. Buried by the king's daughters, yeah. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Matt 10:30. I don't really know what that's a Bible quote, I guess. Matthew 10:30. You know, speaking of graves, I always go to like graveyards in different towns when I go there. I don't know why. Like the oldest grave I kind of go try to find. But we were in Boston and there are a lot of like old graveyards, so it's kind of cool like that. But I was walking through this graveyard and just randomly I saw this grave that just looked pretty interesting. So I took a picture of it and didn't think much about it and carried on with my life. And I can't remember if it was while I was still in the graveyard or later that day, I don't remember. But I realized I happened to take the picture of Hester, What's her name? The one who like, oh my God, the Scarlet Letter was based on. I just happened to take a picture of her grave. I didn't take a picture of any other graves but that one, and it happened to be. I was like, that's weird because there's nothing around it to let you know. I don't know. And it's like half buried. It was crazy. All right. Let's see what they say. The Ramapo College of New Jersey's Investigative Genetic Genealogy Center, which works to identify unnamed people and solve cold cases, asked community members in March for donations to exhume the boy's body and hopefully give him his name back. The fundraiser, a joint effort between the center and the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, is just more than $1,000 away from its $11,500 goal. Oh, we can get it there. I'm going to look it up. On August 13th, the center heard from someone who promised the remaining funds for the exhumation and reburial. Okay, if it's successful, the center will pay for DNA testing. I just think that's really interesting. Can you imagine if you find out that's like your relative, like your great uncle or something? You know what I mean? That's crazy. I know like a lot of people would say, well, that's wasting money. What difference does it make? But it's just interesting. I think it's just interesting. Coroner Frank Hovis believed the boy died accidentally while sleeping. The boxcar had steel beams in it, and there may have been a sudden jolt, which caused the beams to roll onto the boy, according to a Charlotte News report that ran in 1932. The coroner said the boy likely died instantly. I hope so. There were few clues as to who the boy could be. He wore a coat with a label from Norfolk, Virginia clothing store, and the date 1920, the report says. He had blonde hair, gray eyes, and a scar above his left knee. He stood between 5 feet 4 inches and 5 feet 7, and he weighed between 120 and 125 pounds. So interesting. I want to know the follow-up to this. I'll have to keep an eye on it. 30. So he was, if he was 14, 30, 40, he probably would have ended up fighting in World War II. So, I don't know. All right, let's see. Haitians face dire risks fleeing to Canada. More than 330,000 leave U.S. as protection ends. A growing number of Haitians are making plans to leave the United States after President Donald Trump ended their temporary protected status, with some seeking refuge in Canada. Some are heading north to Canada, particularly the French-speaking province of Quebec. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police and migrant rights advocates told USA Today. French is one of Haiti's official languages, though Haitian Creole is far more prevalent in the former French colony. I didn't think of that. That's interesting. I'm going to Quebec pretty soon, I think. I've never been there. That's like totally different than that story. Sorry. So stuck up, so self-centered I am. Yeah, I'm going for vacation, not for refuge. Well. All right, what else do we have here? Week in review. Hawaii cleans up after Lala. You know, that name sounds too cute for a storm that's like terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we shouldn't name a storm Lala. Communities struggled to recover after Tropical Storm Lala sideswiped Hawaii as a Category 1 hurricane, sparing the islands a direct hit, but dumping more than 3.5 feet of rain that caused catastrophic flooding. At least 100 homes were lost. I keep feeling like my throat is closing up and I don't know. I should have brought some water. At least 100 homes were lost as floods inundated neighborhoods, forced residents to flee, and downed power lines. Oh my. Emergency crews rescued hundreds of people from rising waters, and authorities feared the soggy ground would prolong the risk of floods and mudslides for days. Lala even brought snow and blizzards to the summit of Mauna Kea, the highest peak on the island chain. I've heard they sometimes get snow up there. Big Bend bulldozers back off. Wow, that's a real alliteration. The Trump administration paused construction project. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. The Trump administration paused a construction project in Texas's Big Bend National Park, linked to a border wall between the United States and Mexico, after video recorded by environmental advocates showed bulldozers plowing through desert soil and cliffs. Federal officials said no wall was planned through the rugged region, which sees few border crossings, but access roads were needed. Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott said he would personally inspect the work. Big Bend spans 800,000 acres of protected desert and mountains, and some environmentalist groups said the damage has been done. Okay, money. Disney and ABC fight back. Months after ABC and Disney drew the ire of the Trump administration, the network and its owner have sued the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, accusing it of an unconstitutional retaliatory campaign. President Donald Trump had called for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired after the late-night host said on his show in April that Melania Trump had a glow like an expectant widow at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was disrupted by a gunman. Days later, the FCC ordered ABC to file license renewals. First Amendment groups praised the lawsuit. The FCC, in a statement to USA Today, accused Disney of a campaign of disinformation. I think I did a video about that Kimmel thing back when it was happening, if you're curious. Image of the week, America 250 rolls on. That's the train that visitors gather for a look at the Canadian National Railway Company's honorary locomotive, Screaming Eagle, a tribute to America's 250th anniversary at a stop in East Lansing, Michigan. East Lansing, that's where Michigan State University is. I used to hang out there in college sometimes. Okay, life. It says Hayden Panettiere, is that how you say her name? Found dead at age 36. That's a very sad story. She had some rough times for sure, and I think she was just about to come out with information maybe, and so it was a lot, I'm sure. Gender wars have WNBA on defense. The WNBA, which is the Women's Basketball Association, again found itself caught in the debate over transgender athletes when a mother and daughter from Georgia said league security ordered them to cover up their XXXY shirts at an Indiana Fever Atlanta Dream game. The t-shirt brand bills itself as here to protect women's sports. The mother, Casey Thomason, said she spent more than $1,000 on tickets. We did nothing, she said. We were just sitting there. The WNBA told USA Today Sports it was aware of the incident and it should not have happened. Okay. Melting glaciers in the Swiss Alps lead to gruesome discoveries. What? I know about the Lake Mead one. When it dried up, they found all kinds of like mob ditched bodies, I think. Let's see what this is about. You know, they've been having a hot spell in Europe, parts of Europe. Just crazy. I know this woman I went out with last night. She teaches French in Spain. She's an American who teaches French in Spain, I believe is what it is. But it was so hot there for a while that they basically like closed the school, I think, and sent them home. I don't know. I was kind of having trouble following the story, but I'm like, wow. She said like there's no air conditioning in the place where she was, and it was just crazy hot. Anyway, I don't know if that has anything to do with this. The melting glaciers in the Swiss Alps has revealed more than just the ground beneath them, as bodies of long missing persons have been uncovered as the ice retreats. The most recent example occurred on July 26, when a hiker on the Trift Glacier discovered the remains of two mountaineers who had been missing since 1992. Authorities identified the found remains as two male Belgian nationals who were 39 and 41 when they disappeared. Wow. They did DNA, beyond a doubt. This discovery of remains has become a regular occurrence in the region as climate change has affected ecosystems around the world. Due to the retreat of the glaciers, it happens again and again that mortal remains of people who disappeared in the mountains several decades ago come to light. Yeah, this is Lake Mead, which is outside of Las Vegas. It kind of dried up. Is this new? Wait, because that happened a couple years. Ecosystem changes have also revealed remains in the American Southwest. Authorities are investigating human remains found August 16th at Lake Mead outside Las Vegas. No indication the most recent body found August 16th is suspicious. I would imagine some of them were mob stuff, but what do I know? In 2022, boaters discovered 2022, unidentified body stuffed inside a barrel. That doesn't sound like an accident. This is no accident. In the Hemingway Harbor area of the lake, investigators said the man inside the barrel appeared to have been shot, possibly sometime in the mid-70s or early 80s based on his clothes and footwear. At the time he was shot, Lake Mead was almost full, and the water in the area would have been at least 20 to 30 feet deeper. How about that? Experts say Lake Mead's proximity to Las Vegas, 20 miles from the Strip as the crows fly, make it highly likely that there are more bodies to be discovered in the lake, especially given the reputation of Sin City as the home for the mob. The lake's receding waters also are uncovering ghost towns flooded when the Hoover Dam was built, along with prehistoric salt mines. I don't know why, that's so interesting to me. All right, these are the Clancy trial, opinions. Women need to have a choice on this cancer. What is that about? I don't know. And this is about Hayden. All right. And then we have the butter cow. Oh my gosh, it's like a whole section about butter cow and butter guy. Butter guy sitting on a bench. Oh my gosh, this is all butter. A whole butter section. Lyon became known for her pop culture sculptures, including Elvis, seen here in 1997. The Last Supper. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon visits the butter sculpture of himself. Oh, that's supposed to be Jimmy Fallon. That looks like him, I guess. Can't think of his name. Kevin Costner. A chocolate mousse. Yes, please. Chocolate mousse. Oh, I get it. And there it is. Visitors take in the Pratt's Butter Cow at the American State Fair exhibit at the Renwick Gallery in Washington. I feel like there's a deep connection between animals and humans. Animals are very curious and they will side eye you. True. All right. What is this? New movie, Spa Weekend stars flex female power. Four friends since childhood find more revelry than restoration in the comedy Spa Weekend, starring Isla Fisher. Isla Fisher from Left, Leslie Mann, Michelle Buteau, and Anna Faris. I used to listen to her podcast, but it got a little weird for a while. I haven't listened to it in a very long time. They said, what? The star's best quotes. Should I read that? Is that interesting? I don't know. It's your birthday. Who's celebrating? Kim Cattrall is 70 years old. What? Oh, that's surprising to me. I don't know. Oh, horoscopes. Okay. First of all, we'll read Sagittarius because that's me. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Feeling cut off from your social life? Oh my God, yes, I am. I literally have been dealing with that today. A friend meetup. I don't have any friends to meet up. Or group event may get delayed when Venus challenges Saturn. I don't know what any of that means. Guys, I have no friends. I've realized some of the only friends I have, I think they are ghosting me, and I don't know why. I don't know what I did. I can't figure it out. It's like, I don't know. I don't have any friends. Sad. Okay. I'm going to randomly pick one. Here we go. I keep saying I'm going to start going to trivia, and I really am. I think this fall, because I'm going to be away. I'm going to be at my parents', and then I'm going to be away. But then I'm going to start going to trivia and try to get a team, because I need to meet people. But one of my problems is everything social kind of revolves around drinking, and I haven't really been drinking as much. But I can have a beer to be part of the group. Peer pressure. Okay, Gemini. May 21st to June 21st. Encountering a buzzkill, a group expectation may be against your idea of a good time. I don't understand any of these. Let's just read them all. All right. If you're Aries, a relationship asks for more maturity and clearer boundaries. Can you meet someone halfway and still honor your limits? I don't know. Taurus. I think my dad's Taurus. Are responsibilities feeling heavier than usual? Call in the support you need to get the job done. That's why I'm going there, because I read that. No, not really. But I'll go help my dad with the job. Gemini, we read. Cancer. Personal longings and professional obligations may be at odds today. Are the pressures of life harshing your mellow? Don't harsh my mellow, dude. All right, Leo. New information requires receptiveness today. Is your first reaction to shut down the suggestion that comes your way? Virgo. I think my husband's Virgo. Does the current arrangement still feel fair? Review what you give and receive. Oh, we better hide that from him. Sounds like their question. All right, Libra. Relationships can hit a brick wall today. Even when you offer love, it may not be returned as you like. Scorpio. Sacrificing pleasure for work? Venus confronts Saturn today, asking you to examine the cost of running on autopilot. I don't know what any of these Venus and Saturn things mean. All right, Capricorn, because I already did Sagittarius. Professional connections may feel strained today, trying to put on a good face even though you don't feel like it. Trying to put on, it's a question, sorry, trying to put on a good face even though you don't feel like it. Aquarius, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Is a reality check stopping you in your tracks? Practical questioning can deflate your enthusiasm. Okay. Pisces, people may want more than you can give. Do you need to draw the line with your time and resources? Sugarland, aren't they a 3? Sugarland. What's her name? Oh yeah, Jennifer Nettles. What was she in? She was just in some show. Huh. Anyway, as Sugarland prepares for its Ride or Die tour this fall, Jennifer Nettles is recalling a specific piece of advice a country music A-lister gave the band early on in their journey. I remember very specifically Brad Paisley saying to us, "In your band, one bad apple can spoil the bunch." Nettles, 51, tells USA Today alongside her bandmate Christian Bush. Nettles said Paisley added, "If you have someone out on the road with you in your band or in your crew that energetically doesn't want to be there and it's obvious, move on." Oh boy. Nettles and Bush credit Paisley along with Keith Urban, Kenny Chesney, and Brooks and Dunn for showing them the ropes when it came to performing in large venues. Acts didn't just offer advice, they sometimes lent production help to alleviate some of Sugarland's touring expenses as a supporting act. So didn't there used to be 3 of them? So are they saying like they had one who I don't know. I don't know the Sugarland story. All right, what do we have here? More about Hayden. I can't, it's like I know her and I know the way she looks and everything, but I can't think of any show I watched that she was in, but I know I've seen her and stuff. I just can't think of what. Spa Weekend. Here's the crossword puzzle. Foo Fighters fly in career-spanning concert. Oh, are you calling it the Eras Tour? Foo Fighter at the August 4th tour kickoff in Toronto bring a blistering 3-hour show on this tour, which included a stop at Nationals Park in Washington, Dave Grohl's old stomping ground. He kind of did a number on the band when he cheated on his wife. I feel like stuff like that. I think a lot of women go, I don't like you as much. Time to tour like a tourist again. Traveling like a local is starting to backfire. What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. Damien Zoau, I don't know how to say that name, used to be a true believer in living like a local. He scoured online listings for authentic-looking apartments in up-and-coming neighborhoods, shopped at local markets, and tried his best to blend in. Then came the trip to Lisbon that changed everything. His street, located in a quiet residential neighborhood, had lost its bakery. The local barbershop was gone too, replaced with boutique rentals and overpriced brunch spots catering to people like me. Yeah, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody thinks they have original thought. Then he witnessed the argument. I watched my host get into a shouting match with his neighbor over yet another guest, rolling suitcase clattering down the cobblestone. He recalls, the moment hit hard. Uh-oh. For the last decade, the travel industry's golden rule has been live like a local. Shun the tourist traps, skip the hotels, and embed yourself in residential enclaves to find true authenticity. I've had a front row seat to this gentrification with a passport. I'm on the road 350 days a year, often staying in rental apartments. In fact, I'm writing this from an Airbnb in Newmarket, a neighborhood in Auckland. and it's located between a car repair shop and a Chinese grocery store. So much for authenticity. It's because all the Airbnbs going in and taking up living space, isn't it? Don't you think? I don't know. Survey ranks Denver first for domestic flight deals. I don't think I get any deals right now. It's so expensive to fly. Summer getaways that beat the heat. The Northeast offers some cool spots to visit. I gotta say, they're even hot right now, though, I think. Nantucket, Massachusetts. Southern Maine coast. Where else? I want to know. Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park. You gotta go there. Make sure there aren't too many people when you go. Lake Placid and the Adirondack Mountains. Been there. Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. I'm actually going here soon. With seasonal highs in low 70s, Cape Breton Island off the Atlantic coast of Canada is perfect for extended summer getaway. Okay. Outdoor lovers should plan to tackle the easy Skyline Trail footpath inside Cape Breton Highlands National Park. The trail overlooks the Gulf of St. Lawrence. If your getaway is an extended one, plan an overnight trip to take in Prince Edward Island of Anne of Green Gables. I need to watch Anne of Green Gables because I am going to Prince Edward Island. All right, interesting. I love these New England towns. They're so nice. They're expensive, but they're nice. Europe's new entry rules confuse travelers. Uh-oh. I don't have a plan to go to Europe right now, but I'll just call her my cousin, moved to Spain. And so we're planning to go visit, but flights are so expensive. It's like crazy right now. But we want to visit 50 states. I don't know anything interesting going on. It's too hard to read this. I'll just pick some. Okay, Hawaii, Honolulu. Hawaii health officials reported Oahu's 7th dengue case of 2026. Oh, that you get that from mosquitoes, right? A travel-related infection with no links to previous cases. Ooh, that's not good. That doesn't sound very good. Virginia, Forest, a female 8-foot python named Nanner has become an unlikely suspect in a fire at Forest Middle School, with officials saying the snake helped start the blaze, and her owner arguing that Nanner was actually trying to escape it. Wait, snakes don't have hands. They can't, like, light a candle or something. Like, what? This is not enough information. How did the snake start the blaze? I need to know more. That's crazy. Okay, Salt Lake City, Utah. Officials said Utah's 10 largest wildfires have cost nearly $217 million to battle this year, as the state endures its worst fire season in almost 2 decades. Oh my gosh. I think, wait, no, not in Utah. Idaho. Where's Idaho? I think my cousin's son is a firefighter out there, like backcountry, but maybe it's here. Boise, Idaho. Governor Brad Little has appointed 4th Judicial District Judge Jason Scott to the Idaho Supreme Court, where he will succeed retiring chief. Well, that's not very interesting. What else we got? Mississippi, Jackson. The Mississippi Museum of Art will take over management of Jackson's long-closed McNair Davis Planetarium under a new agreement intended to finally bring the $23 million facility back to life. Well, that's cool. looking for something that looks sort of interesting. North Dakota Bismarck. The North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality has awarded $2.86 million in EPA funding to 9 projects across the state aimed at reducing runoff pollution and improving water quality through conservation efforts, education, and technical assistance. That seems positive. You want to read this one? This one sounds good. Maine, Augusta. The Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife is once again asking residents to look out for one of Maine's most elusive native species, the rusty-patched bumblebee. What? Maine Morning Star reported, it's one of 2 native species of bumblebee that hasn't been seen in the state in years. It's considered a rare species of special concern by the state and was the first bumblebee species to be added to the U.S. endangered species list, according to the news outlet. I had no idea. What is it called? The rusty-patched bumblebee. Huh. Interesting. All right, guys. Let me just take a gander at the sports page. I've been skipping it because I'm not following much, but let's just, people like, look. I thought maybe I should make a separate video, but it's not, there's not much here. So, Misfit No More. So this is the kid whose brother was the quarterback, and now he's going to be the quarterback, I guess, for Georgia Tech. NCAA lit match panics over fire. Huh? This is hilarious. Now we've reached the point of no return. Now. That's what it said. Not when universities hoarded media rights cash for decades before finally being forced by the courts to share with players. Not when universities stole a year of eligibility from transferring players for decades before finally being forced by the courts to allow free movement. Not when the NCAA for decades made random decisions regarding specific significant bylaws before being forced by the courts to change course. So now that yet another hometown judge in another case against the NCAA on August 19th forced college sports governing body to again see the error of its ways, now that the NFL and college football are essentially competing this is an interesting written article for players. Now it's a bridge too far. Where have you people been for the last 5 years? This feels very opinion to me, doesn't it? Better yet, where were the current and latest group of whiners decrying it's all unsustainable when the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, decided weeks ago to choose and pick sides and declare which players from the 2022 class could be grandfathered into the new 5 years to play 5 seasons rule and which couldn't? I don't know what any of this is about. My uncle used to be really into this stuff. He'd always know, he would be able to tell me, but he passed last year. But he knew all this. He was a big Virginia Tech fan. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's about how it unfolded with the NCAA in nearly every single court case of the name, image, and likeness era. They make a dumb decision based on pre-NIL era thinking, where the NCAA had the upper hand in just about every argument, and the courts ride in on their white horse and save the day by denying it. Whew, I don't know, but this guy's got a fun way of writing, I will say that. All right. Arsenal kicks off EPL title defense. The Premier League is back. People told me I should cover the Premier League, but it's a lot. As the English top flight kicks off the 2026-27 campaign on August 21st, for the first time in 22 years, Arsenal enters the season looking to defend its title after the Gunners ended a long drought last season. Though Arsenal will be favored to retain its title, there are a host of top sides that are aiming to challenge Mike Arteta's men this season. There is also plenty of intrigue at the other end of the table, as well as across the entire division. Here are 5 of the biggest questions we have entering the new Premier League season. Can anybody stop Arsenal? Let's see what our other ones are. How will Man City fare after the Pep Guardiola? I'm sorry. This is why I can't do this. I don't know how to say words. Can the Zabi? No. Let's see. Is it S? Doesn't like it. Xavier Zabi. Can Zabi Alonso stop the rot at Chelsea? Can the promoted side survive? Will the meat wall era end? EPL predicted standings show number 1, Arsenal. Number 2, Manchester City. Number 3, Liverpool. 4, Chelsea. 5, Manchester United. 6, Aston Villa. 7, Brighton. 8, Tottenham. 9, Everton. 10, Nottingham Forest. 11, Newcastle. 12, Bournemouth. 13, Brentford. 14, Crystal Palace. 15, Leeds. 16, Sunderland. 17, Fulham. 18, Coventry City. 19, Ipswich Town. Probably saying that wrong. 20, Hull City. All right, there you go. Shadur Sanders has own point of view. I should know how to say that. Sanders didn't start but played in the Browns' preseason game against the Bears on August 15th. This week he starts. Okay. Is he related to another Sanders or no? I don't know. Okay. The Orioles cry foul after losing critical review versus Yankees. Oh, those Baltimore, they're always crying foul about. Just kidding. Okay, weather. Cooler air will expand from the Midwest to the interior Northeast into this week's end. However, this action will not reduce the amount of moisture, and areas of heavy, gusty thunderstorms are forecast. Heat will hold on and build even more over the south central states, with areas of heavy to severe thunderstorm from parts of the plains to the southeast states. As the heat dome in the west shrinks southward this weekend, temperatures will trend downward in some areas. As a storm over Pacific slices areas of the northwest, limited moisture will lead to mainly dry thunderstorms and locally gusty winds that are likely to raise the risk of new wildfires. A new brewing hurricane will spread heavy rain to parts of Hawaii this weekend. Oh boy. Let's see what's the highest temperature we see. I think 113 in Phoenix, Fahrenheit. That's pretty daggone hot. That is really hot. That's the highest I see. And then the lowest I see is maybe 69 in San Francisco. 69, dude. Yeah, it might be 63 in Anchorage. That's the lowest I see. No, 60 in Juneau. 60 in Juneau. That might be the lowest. But look, Marquette, Michigan, 72. All right. We already looked at that. Doctors want energy drink deal paused. A group of doctors and scientists have petitioned the Big 12 Conference and the NCAA to pause the Big 12's big new sponsorship rollout with Monster Energy on the basis that energy drinks are a health risk to children. It's making my stomach growl. The group has sent letters to the leadership of the Big 12 and NCAA, but said it hasn't received a response. How bad are they? Are they really that bad? I never drink those things. I don't like the way they taste, but I think my son drinks like one of these every day. I'm not sure if he still does or not. I used to tell him, like, don't drink those. But I don't know. I don't even know what's in it, honestly. Like, why are they dangerous? Sports cardiologist. I mean, good grief. Do they tell us? Based on similar health, government, such products, those under 18. I don't know what's in them. I think they have like B vitamins and maybe creatine and caffeine and I don't know. Taurine. What else is in there? I don't know. Power non-conference battles spice New Year. 2026 top pick Azzi Fudd out for WNBA season. Out. And then we have a big ad on the back. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you saw this movie. I would watch that movie if it's supposed to be good. I like